Carmax is in big trouble. They had an earnings calls recently, and with all the bad news, the stock price tanked. So I'm going to show you why Carmax is screwed and how us consumers are finally going to win. Let's go. Okay, as you can see, Carmax's annual net income for 2022 was $1.15 billion. Then in 2023, it was $485 billion, or a 57% decline, which in 2024, it's only seen a 1.15% decline. But here is the thing, Carmax can't sell cars because Carmax does not negotiate on price. Yeah, their business model is based on a no-haggle fixed price approach, which means the price that you see listed for a vehicle is the final price, and there is no negotiation involved. This policy is part of Carmax's strategy to provide a straightforward, hassle-free buying experience, but it doesn't always work. And I'll show you. Let's take a look at some vehicles they have for sale and cross-shop them. So let's first take a look at the Toyota Tacoma. And if we search by highest price first, we can see there's a 22 TRD Pro with 30,000 miles on it for $51,000 in a very interesting color. Now, if we hop over to Auto Tempest, and again, that was 51,000. You see all of these here, 39,000 with 9,000 miles. Let's find one with that color. Here we go. This is a perfect comp, a 2022 TRD Pro with almost the exact same miles as this guy. This one's 51,000 and this one is 47,000, $4,000 plus. You can negotiate even off that price. Why would anybody buy this one? But let's take a look at one more. How about this 23 Limited with 1,000 miles? It's pretty much a brand new truck. So they're asking 49K. Let's go 1,000 miles. I bet there's nothing. Here you go, 3 miles, a brand new truck, 44,901 versus 48,998. Tell me which one you'd rather buy. Okay, another super hot car is a Subaru Forester. So let's see how Carmax is doing with these guys. So they have this 2024 Forester Limited, and they have this Touring. Let's check out a 23 Touring. So cross shop. Here's one for 32, 32, 33, 33, 34, 34. So a bunch of them. And this one's at 37,000. Ooh, and I like this Wilderness. Let's look that up. And it had 11,000 miles. All right, we're in at 25, 27, 27. This is a good looking rig. Kind of like it. 28, 28. I might buy one of these. Maybe I should buy the Carmax one. What do you think? 35 grand. Come on. Like, what makes this one so much nicer than all of these for way less? That's insane. In fact, the most expensive one is $31,995, and there's about 50 results here. Carmax, what are you guys doing? All of that shows that Carmax paid way too much for those vehicles and can't drop prices without taking a loss. But guys, that is only half the problem. See, on Carmax's earnings call, the company reported that its purchasing of vehicles from consumers was down. Specifically, Carmax bought approximately 234,000 vehicles, which represented an 11% decrease from the previous year. Out of those, about 213,000 vehicles were purchased directly from consumers like you and me. This decline in purchasing, which is a huge part of their business because that's how they make money, is part of a broader trend that we're seeing. See, with high interest rates, check out this graph for interest rates over the past 10 years. Historically, they were less than 5%. And look at that huge hike I wouldn't be able to make up in the past couple of years. Ay, ay, ay. Also, the average price of used cars is going up, where you can see the used vehicle average transaction price in the past couple of years has increased almost $10,000. So what does that mean? Well, people are holding onto their current cars longer and longer because getting into a new car is way more expensive. If you bought a used car pre-pandemic for $30,000 with an interest rate of 4.5% over 60 months, you're looking at a monthly payment of roughly $559 per month. That same $30,000 loan over 60 months is an average of 8% APR. So you're looking at a monthly payment of roughly $50 more per month or $600 per year, or $3,000 more over the life of the loan. And guys, that is a huge difference. and obviously enough that less and less people are willing to give up their older cars locked into a much lower rate. But what's also super interesting is Carmax sourced approximately 21,000 vehicles from dealers, and that is up a whopping 45% from previous years. So they're getting less people to sell them their cars and more dealerships wholesaling their cars to Carmax? That's interesting. And with Carmax rolling out things like Max Offer, which is a dealer-only channel for appraising their used inventory, more and more dealers are offloading their cars to Carmax, which is a huge red flag and will be a huge win for us consumers in the very near future. By Carmax buying all these vehicles, it suggests that dealers are having a really tough time moving inventory at desirable price points or within reasonable timeframes. Used cars are sitting longer than ever before, especially Teslas. Wow. And this recent study by IC Cars paints a perfectly bad picture for Carmax. New cars are now languishing on dealer lots. The average new car sells in 54 days. New EVs take 70 days and hybrids sell in 49 days on average. After analyzing 463,000 cars, they found a 21.6% slowdown in average days on market for new cars. And between the gradual drop in new car pricing and the consistent slowdown in their sales pace, it's like watching a giant machine slowly winding down. So with new vehicles sitting on lots longer, that means new car dealers need to incentivize new car buyers to make them move. Let's take brand new Dodge Ram trucks for an example. They are top 5 and slowest selling vehicles this year. And here is a dealer offering $15,000 off a brand new Ram 1500. And if we click on the disclaimer, they have a 24 Laramie crew cab with a $57,450 sale price. Now, here's one on CarMax that's 2 years old with 11,000 miles on it for only a couple grand less. And that is a huge problem for CarMax, as dealers shift from being able to gouge customers because of all the supply shortages to having to incentivize brand new buyers to buy new inventory at discounts. That no-haggle pricing from CarMax, well, I think you're picking up what I'm throwing down. They are actually pricing their inventory out of market, way too high. Now, remember I told you that CarMax bought 45% more vehicles from dealers this past year? Well, check this out. Okay, now let's shop all cars, and this is pretty interesting. Instead of going by lowest price, what we're gonna do is go by mileage. The lowest mileage first. And as you can see, all of these vehicles have less than 1,000 miles on them. And in fact, a lot of these have like very few miles on them. Check out this 2024 4Runner SR5 Premium. And it says less than 1,000 miles, but if we go into their view history report, it shows that this car literally was built 3/21/24, and this car was registered in Keswick, Virginia, 3/21/24, and now 4/17, just a couple days ago, it has 49 miles on the odometer. This is a brand new vehicle, like brand spanking new. And as you can see in this photo, 63 miles on the odometer, and it's at CarMax being sold as a used vehicle. And if we just keep scrolling, look at how many of these there are. I mean, you could go on for pretty much days. There's about 54,000 total matches. Of course, some of them actually have more than 1,000 miles, but all of these with 1,000 miles on them have less than 1,000 miles. They're brand new vehicles. Here's a 2023 Corvette. Again, brand new. Now, why does this end up at CarMax? Well, some dealers might actually sell something like this to CarMax to hit a monthly quota, which offsets more than what the loss they're taking by selling it to CarMax is. Or it might be because the dealer needed to get this thing off the books because of the floor plan financing. Because, well, every day that this thing sits at a dealership, it becomes more and more expensive to that dealer. But can we just take a second and realize how insane it is? All of these brand new vehicles are now at CarMax. Something's going on. Now, the average selling price declined approximately $600 per unit for CarMax, or roughly 2% year over year, which, yeah, makes sense because we're now seeing more new cars going for under MSRP. Everything from the Hyundai Kona Electric to the Volkswagen Arteon. These are all going for under MSRP, which pushes the average used car price down. Yeah, used car prices hit a peak in 2022. You all remember that. But in the past couple years, you can see they are starting to trend downward, which is a great sign. And what's interesting is new car supply has increased to a national average of 72 days. which is way better than just a year ago when the average national supply was just 56 days. And this is a huge indicator for consumers with cars sitting longer that you'll be able to negotiate on a car, because with the floor plan pricing, every day a car sits, well, it costs the dealerships money. See, when a car dealership uses floor plan financing, they borrow money to get the cars on their lot, but they start paying interest on that money from the time they receive the cars, not when they sell them. This means they pay interest on each car from the moment it arrives on the dealership until it is sold. The longer a car sits unsold, the more interest the dealership pays, making it more expensive over time. So as you can see, the goal for these dealerships is to sell cars as quickly as possible to minimize these interest costs. Which you can't feel bad for Carmax, because they are making $2,251 gross profit per used car sold. And that's consistent with last year's fourth quarter. And it's also consistent with the National Automobile Dealer Association average gross profit for a used vehicle, which is $2,337. But remember, that's an average. So a regular car dealer might make $5,000 selling one vehicle and make zero profit selling another, to make the average gross profit $2,500. Okay, let's search by lowest price. And well, here's a bunch of them for $9,998. Now, if you're gonna buy something like this 2013 Kia Soul, Carmax is roughly all in $7,750 for this $10,000 ride, which is a pretty good profit margin. And for all the vehicles that Carmax buys that don't end up on the site, their wholesale gross profit margin is $1,120, which is about $60 less than last year, which isn't a whole lot of change. Where Carmax is screwing up, well, they will not negotiate on their prices. And if they were willing to haggle even just a little bit, they would most likely get even more people cross-shopping their inventory, even if the asking price was a bit higher than fair market value. Because, well, people want to feel like they get a good deal. And if you go into a dealer knowing that the price you see is going to be more than the price that you pay, understanding negotiation, which if you want to learn how we buy cars for cheap and sell them for a lot, we'll check out our brand new workshop on the ideal car buying strategies. I'll link to it in the first comment below. And little known fact, the Tesla Model Y was actually the #1 selling vehicle in the world last year. So I want to take a look at the most expensive one that they have for sale at Carmax, which is this 22 Tesla Model Y Performance, $53,998. Great looking car with 7,000 miles. Now let's cross shop that on Auto Tempest. Model Y, let's look up performance, give it the good old search, and let's sort by highest price first. Is there anything close, do you think? Well, $52,999. So very close. And here's one for $51,999 with 1,600 miles. So practically brand new compared to this one with 7,000 miles. So it's actually pretty close in pricing, but real quick, you can see these prices drop off drastically at 50, 49, 48, 47. It's almost like a countdown timer. So yes, there might be an outlier in Auto Tempest, but realistically, as you guys can see, they are overpricing almost all of their inventory. No one's gonna buy it. Because when you walk out of a car buying experience and you feel like you got a great deal, well, that's a good feeling. And that feeling usually comes from paying less than what's being asked. But Carmax, well, they do have a secret weapon to make moolah. See, it's called Carmax Auto Finance. Income is up 19% to $147 million versus $124 million a year ago. And for every dollar financed for a car purchase, they make back $1 and then some change. Because, well, when you take out a loan, you agree to pay back the amount borrowed plus interest. And interest rates depend on things like your credit score, loan amount, loan term, and market conditions. You may also opt for things like gap insurance or extended warranties, which you never actually should, but those are all big moneymakers for Carmax. And with the number of vehicles sold at Carmax almost exactly the same as last year, that means that more and more buyers are financing a larger percentage of their purchases. So with Carmax owning their own financing arm, if they sell more vehicles, they can finance more money and make even more money. Which is again why Carmax could benefit from haggling on their asking price to get more butts into driver's seats and more butts financing their cars. So where do us consumers win? Well, voting with our wallet. That's Lint. And very few people would go to Carmax to overpay for a vehicle that they could get cheaper somewhere else. So CarMax will be forced to either lower prices to be competitive which they actually did recently with their whole Tesla fleet to reflect current market prices, and they sold over half of their Tesla inventory in just 24 hours, which means they were asking way too much for all those Teslas. Or wholesale a whole bunch of vehicles to other dealers, who will be able to sell them to us customers for less than what Carmax has advertised. And this is the beginning of the huge shift into a buyer's market for new and used vehicles. And if Carmax has to sell these overpriced vehicles at a loss, it could spell trouble in paradise for the original disruptor of the auto industry. So, are you actively shopping for a new vehicle right now, or are you sitting on the sidelines waiting to see how this mess sorts itself out? Let us know in the comments below. Also, like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and check out these Ideal vids right here. I'm Brad, this is Ideal. We'll see you next week, and promise me one thing: keep living the ideal lifestyle.